Tucked away in Michigan's Upper Peninsula in the Thaquemonon Falls State Park is a backcountry dispersed campsite at the Clark Lake Loop. Here is the sign at the parking area, which is about a mile and a half of hiking to get from the main road back to the campsite. And you'll have to start off hiking if you park there down a 2-track that can be a little shoddy depending on the rainfall amount. There's definitely water pooled up here, and you could probably drive down it with a front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive vehicle, but I would recommend at least all-wheel drive, as some of the spots here were pretty muddy and we could see where people's tires have actually spun. You could definitely drive your vehicle back here to get to this secondary parking spot that's way in the back down this 2-track, and this secondary parking spot holds probably 2 or 3 well-parked vehicles. However, we observed a van park here that was parked so poorly that I don't think you could get any other vehicles into the parking space. Just a short ways into the hike and you lose all of the traffic noise, and you definitely feel much more up north and remote as you hear nothing but the sound of the woods. There's definitely a really good opportunity out here to see some wildlife. We didn't really see any wildlife out here, however, you are in the middle of the Upper Peninsula, so there's always an opportunity. There is signage along the way for a much larger hiking trail system here. We were only going to the Clark Lake campsite. We weren't doing the entire loop or the multiple loops of trail systems that are out here. However, there is plenty of signage to keep you on track as you go from marker to marker and sign to sign. As you can see, there are definitely water holes here in the trail where it has flooded over. We did, for what it's worth, have rain almost every day while we were in the Upper Peninsula, so that can account for some of the wetness that you see. Here is the secondary parking space. Like I said, plenty big enough for 2 or 3 vehicles. Please don't park sideways right in the middle so no one can get around you. Thaquemonon Nature Area. Foot traffic welcome, closed to motor vehicles. And there is a Clark Lake campsite. Well, shoot. From the secondary parking spot on to the rest of the trail, it definitely seemed much more like a normal foot trail, and definitely felt much more remote and less likely that you're going to come up on another person or even have a vehicle drive up on you while you're out here hiking. Just a short ways down the trail here, and we came to a little trail that shot off to the left, and way out here in the middle of the woods there was what looked like a dock that went over a pond. So we're gonna head out to that dock and see what's going on out here. They're stable. It was really neat out here because it was pointed out to me that the whole swamp area was surrounded with pitcher plants, little insect-eating plants all over out here in this swamp. And it's not something that you see very commonly here in Michigan. Just a short distance later up the trail, we came to marker number 5, which would be our last marker we would come to on this trail before we hit the Clark Lake campsite. From here, you can actually see Clark Lake in the background a little bit. That's true. 3 miles. We might as well keep going. What, 3? Yeah, 0.3, supposedly 0.3. It's super neat to be back here. This lake was really beautiful out here in the middle of nowhere with the sun shining on it. You could see some weed beds out there in the middle of the lake on what looked like really clear blue water. I'll definitely try to plan a trip sometime and come back and bring a kayak with me way out here, carry one along, and come out and try to do some fishing. I have no idea what kind of fish are out here, but getting back here to a really remote lake like this would be super exciting. Here's one of the best views of the lake that we actually got while we were out here on the trail. There may have been better up farther, but we turned here and went to the campsite and didn't hike the trail any beyond the campsite.
It's crazy how that water.
I didn't expect the lake to be so big.
It looks still compared to the rest of the water.
Yeah, because the waves can't go over it. The weeds block it.
So it is sweet.
Yeah.
Have we been here before?
Does it seem familiar to you?
It does.
It does to me too, but I've never...
Honest, though, I feel like everything back here, it all looks like...
Yeah, I don't feel like we ever have done this, but it does seem familiar. Heading the rest of the way through the woods, up the little bit of a hill to the Clark Lake campsite, it's not long before we come across a sign that indicates the campsite is just up ahead. And then we come up to another sign here shortly that's for the Clark Lake campsite with some camping rules. And after that, we're pretty much there. It's got your pretty basic backcountry camping rules on here. And you definitely want to be animal conscious when you're camping out here in the middle of the woods. Hang your food. Don't have anything that smells too strong. You don't want to get a bunch of bears in the area and ruin it for everybody else. The Clark Lake campsite has a picnic table and a small fire ring. Please be very careful if you're having a fire out here in the middle of nowhere. Aside from that, you have to pack out what you pack in and be safe camping.